Hi everyone. Okay, we're going to have a look at a higher tariff question now. We can see that it's a 5-mark question, still on the money paper, and this time we're looking at text D. So text D is this from the website of a payday loan company. So hopefully you have that in front of you. So you can see that we've got an explain question again, but higher marks, and we're looking at explain how this payday loan company makes itself sound responsible and trustworthy. Now the fact that it's a 5-mark question shows us that we need to extend our answer, and we can see that there are more lines. The more lines we have, the more we should be writing. Now, although we have explain in the title of the question, we do need to also look at the next word over, and the word we're looking at is how. So we're looking at what does this payday loan company actually do to make itself sound responsible and trustworthy. So we have our keyword here of how. Responsible, trustworthy. Now you may want to be thinking about what those words actually mean, responsible and trustworthy. So it might be quite useful to think about some synonyms. Responsible, we could perhaps think about reliable, trustworthy, we could think about maybe honest. Could be thinking about words like respectable, and that might just help you with your answer. So as we saw, we're looking at text D, so remember what we're looking at. Okay, so let's have a look at the text. Well, straight away the first thing that we can see is that they call themselves a responsible lender. Right, keywords in there, all done. And then underneath that they have a series of icons with some explanation that we can assume that's what they say, that this is what they do to make themselves responsible. So we might look at the fact that they assess every application on an individual basis. This makes them sound reliable, perhaps. We've also got the image of a lock. Right, so it's not words, but we can still talk about the symbols, and you know that shows us that they're very secure, doesn't it? We see locks, we know that privacy is safe, so that again could show that they're trustworthy, that they're reliable. We've also got words like carefully. So if they are careful, then that makes them quite responsible, doesn't it? What else? And the fact that they assess all the applications carefully. So bear in mind that it is a 5-mark question. We need to make sure that we've got a variety of points. So we've commented on words, we've commented on image, we've looked at the choice of words that they've actually used. Let's have another look at something else that we can examine. We've got this second headline here. They say that we don't lend to everyone. Right, so we're looking at responsible lenders. Right, they don't just give it to anybody, so they have some kind of standards that they uphold, which again means that they are responsible lenders, that they don't just give it away to anyone. So we have the fact that they only lend to over 18s. That shows they won't lend them to children. So that shows that they are quite responsible. Any examples of honesty then? when we're looking at the trustworthy side of it. Let's have a look. Right, we talk about trust, honesty. Right, we want our relationship based on trust, so we lay out the facts as clearly as possible. You could also mention the fact that they tell you to get advice before making a decision, perhaps. So you have a number of ways of actually attacking this. You can, just look through the text and pick out different things, or obviously you can start at the top and work your way down. But let's have a look now at how we would actually answer this question. We've got our annotations. That's our plan, right? And it's important to make sure that you do that. If you've done this, if you spent a few minutes doing this exercise, then all of a sudden you've already got all of your answers. We have a range of things that we're going to be looking at, right? We've looked at both the elements, responsible and trustworthy, right? So all of your answers are here. So let's have a look at how we would then actually answer it. Okay, so you could say the first thing I noticed was that the company called themselves a responsible lender. Notice how we're embedding it. Okay, so we've got a responsible lender embedded, which makes it sound trustworthy. So we're linking back to the question, trustworthy, and reliable straight away. After this, the advert contains a short section which claims they again embedding the quote, assess every application on an individual basis. Now we can zoom in on one particular word. The use of the word individual makes the company sound fair and careful about its choices. So the next thing we're going to look at is the use of symbols. So the advert also uses symbols such as a lock, which gives the impression that the company is a secure and safe one to deal with. You could obviously go on to talk about, it being a recognised symbol. So the reader would associate this with internet banking, internet banking, and other apps that are safe to use. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3 points there, but obviously we're going for 5. So we've looked at the image, we've looked at something that somebody is. So we're gonna focus now on the language, perhaps. The advert also uses language for effect, such as the use of the word carefully. Now obviously if you know that this is an adverb, you can talk about that as well. So this adverb, but don't stress if you don't know the part of speech that it is, still write about it. This adverb adds to the sense of the company being safe, secure and trustworthy. So we come to our last bit then, for our final point. It doesn't matter if you run out of space, don't think, oh, I filled all the lines. Make sure you've got 5 points. So we could say that towards the end of the advert, the company shows that it is open and honest when it says that they lay out the facts as clearly as possible. Embedding your quote again, and then obviously we can link this back up to the fact that it's trustworthy from the actual question. So this gives the impression the company is open and honest when dealing with the customer. Okay, so when we're thinking about the mark scheme, when we're looking at band 5, the top band, we're looking at give 5 marks to those who give accurate and perceptive explanations about the full range of things put forward. So we've got a full range, haven't we? We looked at the heading, we've looked at the use of language, we've looked at the use of symbols, we've looked at both responsible and trustworthy. So it is quite a full range there, and that's what we're looking for band 4 and 5. There needs to be a full range of examples and looking at the trustworthy and reliableness. So this is definitely for it then says candidates present well considered and articulate understanding of not only what the company says but the language it uses in affecting the reader. So if you haven't looked at language here, then you're still going to be getting into the band 4, but to be able to get into band 5 to be able to get into 5 marks, you do need to try and look at language. Okay? And obviously its effect. Now we have zoomed in on language. We've looked at the use of the word individual. I haven't closed that quote down. And we've looked at the word carefully. That's looking at language as well. Again, if you don't know that it's an adverb, still look at the language. You know, the use of this word adds to the sense of the company. So we need to try and make sure that we fulfill it. The criteria actually says, let's have a little look at the mark scheme. The mark scheme, which isn't a checklist, says every application is considered, which suggests individual care and attention. They highlight the reader's security, which makes the company sound safe and trustworthy. They mention their customer care team, which implies the reader would be looked after by the company. So these are further things that you can look at. They seem responsible when they say they look at many pieces of data, as they will check carefully when someone should have a loan. They don't lend to everyone, which suggests they are thorough on who they decide to make a loan to. Overview then, they provide a clear criteria for what someone needs in order to be accepted. They provide clear instructions on how they collect payments. They use language like relationship, trust and promise, which sounds friendly. They sound reasonable and polite. So you can see that I've used a number of different elements as well when I've examined it. But the key thing that they say underneath is this is not a checklist, and the question must be marked in levels of response. Look for and reward valid alternatives. So I would certainly hope that this would be a 4 mark. If I was an examiner, I would be marking it as a 5 mark question. Okay, good luck everyone.